What's up, everyone? Danger Rick back for another behind the music type deal, and this one's a little bit special. This is the documentary behind the project from 2015 called The Vault. More specifically, how I landed on the final version that I'm referring to as Gold Barz. With that being said, let's take a journey back through time and see how I ended up where I did. So really, this starts out with me during my senior year of college, the spring of 2015. Just a few months before I graduated. I started listening exclusively to hip-hop and rap and really fell in love with what would sound dope, to sample and what lyrics would be cool. So I started writing to songs that were already popular, but with my own spin. I remember Kool-Aid and Frozen Pizza by Mac Miller was the first one that I tried, but that's where it started. From there, I would practice writing on and off for a few months, which eventually got me to the summer following graduation. I graduated in early May on a Saturday, and that following Monday I had my second summer as an intern for the Department of Environmental Services start. What was really cool was that I moved back in with my parents, and I was able to reconnect with some of my high school friends that I hadn't really seen on a regular basis since we graduated high school in 2011. It's a bit of a long story, so I'll just give you the Spark Notes version. I had two friends that each were interested in making music, so I brought the three of us together, and we actually made a whole album during the summer. We'd get together several days a week and would practice recording vocals, turning off the AC just long enough to get the takes, and then turning it back on so we could review what we'd done, all while sipping on 40s and loving the steps all along the way. That project is available on YouTube. I'll post the link in the description. Anyways, with the mindset of making music, I had the unique opportunity to do something that would sit in the back of my mind for 7 years. Oh, and I have to mention, this was well before the name Danger Rick was ever said or created. That was about 4 years after, but we'll stick to the story for now. Throughout my time at the internship, I had applied to various jobs within the state and elsewhere, knowing that my internship would end at the end of August and I'd be out on my ass. I eventually heard of a month-long opportunity within the same building, which would have me sit in a legitimate underground vault for about 4 weeks, culling through public records and downsizing folders to just the essentials. And trust me, it was just as riveting as it sounds. Before that, I had a couple days before this archivist job would start, so I decided I wanted to start writing my own solo project, but wasn't quite sure where to start. During those days, there was no Spotify, no easy way to access music, so I reached out to a hip-hop head that my buddy James knew from college, and I compiled a list of who I should listen to. I got everything from Gang Starr, Atmosphere, Wu-Tang, Talib Kweli, Outkast, Method Man and Redman, Immortal Technique, KRS-One, Eric B. and Rakim, Dr. Dre, and a ton more. Back in the day, I really only had the opportunity to pirate music and throw it on my iTunes and then put it on my iPod Touch, so that's what I did. I showed up to work every day, put in my headphones, did the work, and jotted down raps and rhymes to help pass the time. I spent over 140 hours in the vault by my final day. That doesn't seem like a long amount of time, but it was really just what I needed. By that last day, walking out of the vault, I had written roughly 20 pages of one-liners, punchlines, verses, choruses, things that were good, things that were not good, and everything in between. This was before I had a mic or the funds to put anything together on my own, which I would soon realize would be the largest speed bump for the project. As I was putting the project together, I was caught up on a few things, primarily what the project was going to be about. Then one day, randomly, as I was eating lunch, I got a Snapchat from Chuck, one of my college roommates. I was maybe a week into working in the vault, and here comes a snap of a dope shot of a gold bar vault in England. As we'll discuss later, this was the idea behind calling my condensed version for the whole project Gold Barz. So that's how I landed on the project title and the album cover, which I would assemble in a very crude way with the free photo bucket editor that was available back in the day. Even putting the parental advisory graphic on the bottom right corner. So then I was on to the next hardest part, which was figuring out what beats and what songs that I wanted to rap over. From the hundreds of songs I had listened to and really absorbed while doing all of this mindless work, I landed on 7 tracks that would help frame the whole project. I ended up with The Arrival by Atmosphere, Ain't No Joke by Eric B. and Rakim, You Know My Steez by Gang Starr, Rappers Are in Danger by KRS-One, Checka by Method Man and Redman, Crossing the Boundary by Immortal Technique, and What's the Difference by Dr. Dre. I ended up typing up all the lyrics on my laptop for my iPod Touch and ended up with roughly 20 pages of material. I actually printed everything out and matched up what sections would fit best together and assigned them to each of the 7 instrumentals. By the time I ended up recording lyrics and making the whole project, I ended up with much less than I had originally started with. Some songs were good, some were not, and you can definitely tell which songs had the best material simply off how long each final track was. Fair to say it was my first project and I had to cut off a lot of the fat. So here we are, roughly 7 years since I first spent that month in the vault and had the inspiration to put this project together. When I got around to recording the vocals for the whole project, it was weird since some of the raps I had been practicing on and off for several years. It was the most comfortable I had ever been recording on the microphone. From there, I was able to focus on the video aspect for the project now that the audio aspect of it was complete. With the finalized vocals and the audio bass track, I mapped out the visuals, set up the green screen, and I did 5 takes with 5 different attires that I had used in other videos as a little Easter egg to anybody that has seen my other videos. For the editing process, the only thing that kept me sane was color coding each of the 5 takes to their own colors so that I could keep the layering and the effects straight. Since the whole project was essentially 7 different mini projects, I wanted to have each section have their own distinct visual style. I pulled the first 2 video concepts from other music videos, the first being the Aesop Rock Klutz music video, and the second portion from the Afro music video Code Number 829. All of the rest I just made up in my mind and tried my best to translate into my video editor. As you can see here, I used various layering effects, including nesting clips together to combine layers, and I really just wanted to follow my own formula to get the desired outcome that I wanted. The green screen clips aren't perfect, and neither is the editing, but I'm pleased with what I was able to pull together. This project came out exactly 7 years after I first finished the original lyrics, and I'm very happy to be able to close this chapter of both my filmmaking and my rap career. I feel very fortunate to be in the position that I am to complete this, whereas 7 years ago I was so far away from having the skills to pull something like this off. This being my first actual project, it's somewhat silly to have a dozen music videos out before this one hit the internet, but I'm glad with how things worked out.